Hi guys, we're back again with our next section of work, but this time we're dealing with technology. And as you know, we are working with cell phone towers this term, which means you're going to have to design and build a cell phone tower. What are the importance of cell phone towers in South Africa? That's a good question for you guys. What are their uses? Do members of your family use cell phones? What do they use their cell phones for? And what alternatives are there to cell phone towers? These are just a few questions that we pose to you just to get your mind thinking about the importances of cell phone towers and their everyday use. Even if you don't have or own your own cell phone, you probably know at least one person who does. And many people nowadays own smartphones that are directly connected to the internet using many of these towers that we have in South Africa. They are very popular. When you make or receive a call on a cell phone towers relay signals from one tower to the other. Every day, new towers are being erected all over the country and the world, and this meets the growing need for cell phone reception and makes it possible for more people to be in cell phone contact with each other. The first step of your cell phone design is the design brief and investigation. The problem is a cell phone company wants to build a cell phone tower near your school. It must not impact on the environment and must not visually pollute the environment. The tower must be made from strong materials, must be stable, and be able to hold its shape. It must show the use of reinforcing, using triangular webs, gussets, and cross-bracing, which are things we will be dealing with in technology this term. Let's just go back a little bit to the cell phone company that wants to build a cell phone tower near your school. Remember now, when the cell phone tower is built, it's got to be built in such a way that it does not have a negative impact on the environment and that it doesn't look bad when looking from the air or from the ground. Now, remember, our school is based around St. George's Park, a very beautiful area, so that is something one has to keep in mind when designing this project. Here's an example of a tower structure, and this tower structure is also, as you can see, being drawn to a vanishing point. So if I can just show you at the top here, here's your vanishing point, and you can see all the lines come down to the base. So in other words, small at the top, which is where your vanishing point is, big at the bottom where your base structure is. Later on, you are going to have to do a similar kind of drawing with your design drawings. In your design brief, this is now something where you guys really came short last time in your design brief. You didn't do enough investigation and enough research, and you didn't put enough pen down on paper. You didn't have enough writing to show that you had investigated this properly. So let's make sure this doesn't happen this time. First of all, what is the problem? Okay, the problem would obviously be something to do with we needing more reception in a specific area, and cell phone users are struggling to get reception in a specific area, and so it has been found important for the cell phone company to put a tower up there to increase reception. Why is it needed? Well, we all know the importance of cell phones. Go back to that and research that as we've discussed it. And what will the impact be on the community? Is that good for the community, bad for the community? Have a look at the tower, where it's been placed, and what it's going to do for the community, and what are the advantages and disadvantages. So this is where I want you to really make use of theory to improve your mark for this project. This is in a very important section, this part here, where you can improve your mark without having to do drawings and without having to do designing and building. For those people who are not so good at that, this is the part where you can actually score with your marks. List the specifications. What will the measurements be to scale? In other words, what are the measurements of your model going to be, and also what will those measurements be as opposed to the real life model, and what will that scale be? What must the model do and show? What is the importance of the model? Why are we doing it? What do we want to show? And what features are going to be important on the tower that is going to increase reception? It's going to be environmentally friendly. It's not going to pollute the environment. What features will it have that will make it strong and stable as well? The constraints, now these things are things that you may or may not do. It puts you in a little bracket or puts you in a little box and says, okay, these things you can do inside the box, but you can't go outside the box and do the other things. So identify those things that you may or may not do. When you're putting up a cell phone tower, what may you do? And what may you not do as well when you're putting up a cell phone tower? What are the important things you have to remember when you're putting up a tower? Identify tools you may or may not use when you're doing this, and identify safety features. All cell phone towers have to adhere to certain safety features. What are the important safety features that will help you as far as the do's and the do nots is concerned? With this number 3, list the constraints. Now this is the one where a lot of you guys suffered and you didn't do very well in this section here. Yes, it is difficult. I'm going to try and help you as much as I can in class. We can work through it as well there. But it's the drawing of this whole project. Okay? Use squared grid paper to draw on. Decide on the scale of your drawing in relationship to your model size. So example, if your model size is going to be, say, 1 meter tall, and you are then going to draw that, then you make it 3 times smaller, which is going to be around about 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters. Start with your front view perspective of the model. Quite simply, look at the model, find a drawing, draw a front view of it so you know at least what a cell phone tower looks like. And then from your front view perspective, you can then also change your drawing from 2D to 3D quite easily using projection lines at 45 degrees. Measure and mark the depth of your 45-degree projection line so you know the depth of your 3D drawing. Then the second drawing is the one that I've spoken a little bit earlier about the vanishing point. If I can quickly go back to that. Well, first I want to show you over here. Here you can see at the top, that's your vanishing point. The size is the normal size of your drawing here at the bottom, and from there you project your lines to a certain point, and that's called vanishing point. It makes the drawing look like the original size looking at it from a distance. Let's just go back here. Okay, there it looks over here. Let's go one forward. There it is. Okay, so this is a very similar kind of thing, just a lot closer. There's your vanishing point. There the lines coming down as well. So they're wanting you to draw a drawing using the vanishing point, which also gives more or less a realistic idea of what the drawing is going to look like. Okay, so here we are back to this. See tower structure in the earlier slide. I've just showed you that. Vanishing point. Okay. This is just going to help you a little bit. Vanishing point, make sure you've got the heading and labels. I haven't put that in here, but labels very important. The scale that you're going to be drawing with. Start the vanishing point at the top of your page. Draw the front view base outline at the bottom, of course, depending on the scale. So you need to know the distance between the two. Now drawing in faint guidelines from the front view base to your vanishing point, and then darken the outside important lines. This term, we've got something different involved here. We're going to communicate our design, which means we're also going to have a little oral. Once you've more or less finished everything, this is before you're going to hand in your project, you're going to be asked to come forward and then just communicate your design and how far you are and what's happening and so on and so forth. It's a communication of a design. If you were working for a big company and you wanted to build a cell phone tower, you need to make a presentation to your company about your design. This is the same kind of thing, but on a much smaller basis. So you need to do an oral presentation of your design brief. And then evaluation. Your learners and the peers in your class are going to evaluate your designs and your drawings according to a rubric which will be handed out a little later. And then your hand-in date, finally, on the 13th of June 2014, you know no late projects will be accepted. You've seen by your marks last term, if you don't hand them in you are going to get a big round South African 0. Okay, yes, some examples, guys, to help you. Not saying you have to do it this way, but this is an example to help you get this job done. Lay the sticks out 2 by 2, side by side on the left and 2 sticks on the right. Place a crossing stick and add a dab of glue. Super glue, guys, is your best bet, okay? Super glue is your best bet. Remove the outermost stick before the glue sets. The remaining stick is 1 popsicle stick width in from the tip of the crossing stick. Okay, if you don't understand that, there's a picture for you to help you. Very straightforward. Very straightforward. Ice cream sticks, 4 braces. There they've been painted specific colors. Step 2, once the glue dries on this basic square, fit a cross brace diagonally across the square. Make sure this brace is either inside or outside, depending on the module you are constructing. You will repeat this, make a square process many times, but it may help to avoid errors. So you're probably going to do this a few times because these squares are all going to be joined to form the base of your tower. Okay, so there's the brace. And there you can see in the top picture there's a number of them, and you're going to need a number of them. You're going to make them, you're probably going to need obviously 4 for each one. Join 2 squares with opposing cross braces to form a cube. Okay, so this is the whole idea for you to make a cube. There it is. Okay, these are cubes, and these cubes are put together, as you can see over here in the drawing. Step 4, once 2 cubes have been created, they may be stacked and joined together by adding glue. There we go. They are stacked and they are joined together. And step 5 is basically just a recapping all the previous steps that we have done there to form that tower. You can see how they've been glued over there. So basically, guys, this is it for you. We will try as time goes on to give you more examples and help you as far as these steps is concerned. But now that you've got it available, go through it, see what you can do. It's not imperative that you use the design that I've given you here. If you have another design that you've come up with, come and communicate it with me and we'll see what we can do to get it going. Okay, until next time or until next update, bye-bye.